Hello, peoples. First, due to some computer issues that I've had, I have not been able to post any new videos over the past few weeks, so for that, I apologize. Sorry. All is now fixed, so what we're going to do is kick it off with a new video series. Basically, I'm going to go for the best solo ships used for bounty hunting in patches 3.16 and above. For the first one, I'm going to go right to the top, the extreme risk targets or ERT missions, and then we'll work down, covering the lower ones in the next couple of videos. I'm looking at ships that can be used reasonably well as a solo ship, so without any other crew members, so unfortunately no redeemers or anything like that. And again, these are just my opinions, so I invite you to leave a comment or two in the section below and let us know what you use and how you like to outfit it. So, get a snack, a tasty beverage, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Now first, I am not going to pick any of the Ares series starfighters. That would include the Ion and Inferno. As you watch the B-roll footage here, while both ships are great at taking out hammerheads, they really struggle to take out the fighters that you're going to run into. So if you're constantly going after the group ERT missions like I like to do, and you like to kill everything in each one of those mission legs, you're going to face more Hurricanes and Vanguards and Valkyries than you are Hammerheads. And this is where you're going to struggle. So even though it is fun to take out a Hurricane with a big size 5 Gatling gun on the Inferno, for example, you're going to waste a lot of time doing it, and it's just not very efficient to use these types of ships by themselves solo when doing these missions. If you're running with a group of people and you're splitting up your bounties and you have a couple light fighters that can deal with these pesky little wingmen, knock yourself out, take that nice Ares ship in and go after the hammerhead and a quick kill. But if you're going to go solo, my preferred ship is going to be the Vanguard Sentinel, and here's why. One, it's got the firepower to take out a hammerhead quickly and to do it in a way that will minimize damage. More on that in a minute. Two, it's maneuverable enough to be able to take on fighters with ease compared to the Ares line of ships. And three, it's got good survivability so you can run multiple group ERT missions and not worry too much about it. So let's look at the configuration I like to use. Here, I'm going to open up with 3 Thunderbolt 3 size 3 missiles, right? 3 missiles is all you need to kill a single Hurricane with full shields. The trick here is to get in to within 3 kilometers before you launch your missiles. Chances are all 3 are going to hit. On the rare occasion that 1 or 2 misses, you can finish it off fairly quickly with laser cannons. That's the other little tidbit. I'm using an all-cannon build here. Cannons are viable when you're going after NPCs, despite the fact that they have the lower muzzle velocity or projectile speed than repeaters. With NPCs, they fly in straight lines a lot of the times. You can put a decent amount of rounds on them while they're trying to make a jousting pass and usually kill them fairly quickly, as you can see here. I am using a combination of disruptor and laser cannons for the size 2 bespoke weapons in the Vanguard. For this particular build, I have a size 5 laser cannon mounted in the nose as well. What I'm going to do when I go after the hammerhead is close in fairly close. I'm going to start to orbit the hammerhead, and I'm going to go to work on the shields. The disruptor cannons and the laser cannons do a particularly good job at stripping the shields down fairly quickly. As you can see, I'm having no problem keeping my guns on the hammerhead. My shields are still 30 points in. Even though I am taking some hits from the hammerhead, it's not going to reduce my shields down to 0. Now, with the shield stripped down, particularly the rear shield down to 0, I'm going to get in close and I'm going to fire off my EMP. That EMP is going to turn the hammerhead off. As you can see right here, the EM signature on the hammerhead is dropping down to 0, which means he has no more power. Notice that the guns have gone silent. So now I am free to basically shoot at this hammerhead and whittle his extensive hull hit point pool down without any repercussions whatsoever. I don't have to do any more evasives. I can take my time as long as I continue to hit him every now and then with my disruptor cannons, which will keep him in a down state. I will be able to slowly chew through his fairly large hull hit point pool until he goes boom. Despite the fact that I only have 3 damaging weapons with the laser cannons, I'm able to complete that mission pretty quick. So now we're going to move on to this next build. The only difference here is that I've swapped out that size 5 laser cannon for a size 5 ballistic cannon in the form of a deadbolt. Now I chose this because it's got the highest alpha damage that I can get out of a single weapon on the Vanguard. It does have 70 rounds. I've intentionally put it in the same weapons group as my EMP so I can conserve those rounds. I'm going to engage fighters using my energy weapons in the form of the energy cannons and the disruptor cannons to take them out. They don't pose much of a threat when you do it like that, and you can kill them pretty quickly. I've already killed the Vanguard. Unfortunately, there's a bug in 316. I can't target the surviving Hurricane, but I'm going to be able to take this Hammerhead out fast enough to where I really don't care. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to orbit kind of close to the Hammerhead. I'm going to start whittling down the shields using my laser and distortion cannons. As you can see, the rear shield's already starting to buckle. I'm going to wait until that shield facing drops. Then I'm going to come in fairly close, within 500 meters. You don't have to get right up on them, but I like to get in about 200 meters or so, maybe a little more, and then fire off the EMP. Here you can actually see before I fired off the EMP, his power signature was pretty low, and that goes to the power of those distortion cannons. Despite the fact that they're only size 2 bespoke distortion cannons in the nose, I was already turning his power systems off. Just from the distortion damage. So now, with the Hammerhead effectively neutralized, I fired off about 10 rounds from that deadbolt size 5 cannon, and that has severely lowered that huge hull hit point pool that the Hammerhead has. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish them off with the laser cannons. So I only have 2 damaging weapons at this point. 2 size 2 laser cannons. The distortion cannons will keep it powered off, but they're not going to do any physical damage. Because we are in a gravity pool, which would be the planet that you see here in the background, the Hammerhead is in a free fall and is actually going to impact on the surface and treat us to a nice little explosion. It's always cool to see something like that happen in game, isn't it? So that's basically it. I have one more build for you. Now, unfortunately, this one's going to be a little bit restrictive for some people because in order to put this build up, you have to have access to a Redeemer. What we're going to do is we're going to pull the size 5 ballistic Gatling gun that is part of the Redeemer's man turret and put it on the nose of the Sentinel here. Makes for a really fun weapon to use. So I've done the same thing because it is a ballistic weapon that I did with the ballistic cannon. I've put it in the same group as my EMP. That means that I have to have a little bit more trigger discipline so that when I do fire off my EMP, I remember to keep the button squeezed down if I want that ballistic Gatling gun to be engaged. Now here I'm showing you that I can turn off Hurricanes just as easily as I can Hammerheads with the distortion weapons. So Hurricane was neutralized, no power, just kind of sat there, allowed me to take it out pretty easy. Now I can put my attention onto the Vanguard. Same thing's going to happen with the Vanguard. It's not going to last very long at all. This combination of distortion and laser cannons works really well. Again, they're NPCs, so they're easy to hit. I would not try this build if I was doing PvP styled combat because, well, you'd get your ass handed to you. There's just no qualms about it. The projectile speed's too slow. But against NPCs, works great. So now with all the fighter escort taken out, I am going to go after the Hammerhead just like before. What we're going to do, close down the range, get into a nice decent orbit, whittle down the shields, and then when we do fire off that EMP, we will engage with our ballistic autocannon and watch sparks fly all over the place. Now, one thing to note, you can use other Vanguard models like the Harbinger and so forth with distortion cannons mounted in the nose, and you will be able to take hammerheads out, but I feel having the EMP and the slight maneuverability edge that the Sentinel has gives you a little bit better gameplay. So as you can see, we've whittled down those shields. They're almost gone. I'm going to close in here, fire off my EMP, and the guns on the hammerhead will go silent. And that came at a pretty good time because my shields were down to 23%. So now I get to fire off my ballistic Gatling gun. Note, while the EMP is in the process of cooling down, I can fire my ballistic Gatling gun as many times as I want. The hammerhead, of course, is falling into the planet's surface. Unfortunately, it's not going to hit hard enough to really make it crash and go boom and all that good stuff like we saw in the last engagement. But I am going to be able to just sit there and pluck away at it with that ballistic Gatling gun. Now, this is why you want to keep your Gatling gun or any ballistic weapon in a different weapons group, because you want to use that ammunition sparingly and save it for the main target of your ERT mission. Notice that the hammerhead didn't last long once it came underneath constant barrage. I still have 971 rounds out of, I think it's 2,600. Yeah, 2,600 rounds. And I had done a couple ERT missions prior to this without refueling or anything like that. In an hour time span, I was able to run a total of 5 ERT missions, combination of, multi-mission and single missions, and I made about 304,000 alpha UEC. So it works out pretty good. And I was not trying to do a speed run either. So let me know what you guys think. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Or what are you going to use? What are you not going to use? All that good stuff in the comments section below. You will find links to each of these builds in the video description below. If you liked it, hit the like button, the subscribe, the notification bell, all that good stuff. And as always, till next time, take care.